Welcome. Take a moment to get comfortable. Let your eyes grow heavy, your breathing slow and steady, and allow your mind to drift back in time. Tonight, we are going to walk the stone-paved streets of ancient Rome, but not the Rome of marble palaces and soaring rhetoric. Not the Rome of triumphant generals or blood-stained arenas, no. Tonight, we will slip quietly into the unnoticed corners of the eternal city, into the narrow alleys where chamber pots are emptied, where bakers rise before dawn, and where laundry slaves scrub tunics raw. We'll pass beneath archways cloaked in morning fog, and find ourselves in a world both strangely familiar and utterly alien. Over the course of this journey, you'll step into the sandals of an ordinary Roman citizen. You'll watch emperors crumble under the weight of paranoia, descend into the candlelit mysteries of secret religions, and finally wander through the perfumed gardens of Rome's wealthiest estates. This is why you wouldn't last a day in ancient Rome, and more. A gentle descent into the rhythms, routines, and rituals of an empire that shaped the world and yet was anything but restful for those who lived within it. Let us begin. At dawn, in a cramped, crumbling apartment block where your day is about to begin. Imagine yourself waking slowly in the city of Rome, sometime long ago, over 2,000 years before today. So your eyes open to a faint, dusty light filtering through the small, shuttered window of your room. The air is cool, but heavy with the faint scent of stone, damp earth, and the lingering smoke of nearby hearth fires. You feel the rough texture of the thin straw mattress beneath you, uneven and slightly lumpy, pressing uncomfortably into your back and shoulders. Around you, the walls are close, built of brick and plaster stained with age. The room is small, barely enough space to stretch out, let alone walk freely. Above you, wooden beams creak softly with the gentle settling of the building. You hear faint murmurs from the neighboring rooms, the quiet shuffles of early risers beginning their day. You sit up slowly, feeling the stiffness in your limbs from a night of restless sleep on coarse bedding. Your threadbare tunic clings damply to your skin. The itch of lice beneath your hair is a persistent, familiar discomfort and unspoken part of daily life here, just as the smell of sweat and dust clings to your skin. Outside, the narrow street below buzzes with early morning activity. Vendors shout in rough voices, hawking their goods: fresh fish, bundles of herbs, loaves of bread still warm from communal ovens. You catch the mixed scent of baking grain and the sour tang of unwashed bodies crowded together in this dense, lively quarter of the city. You swing your legs over the edge of the bed, feet touching the cold, uneven stone floor. The sandals you wore yesterday sit near the door, worn thin and cracked. You pull them on carefully, the stiff leather creaking faintly, a sound that blends with the city's early clamor. Stepping outside your door, the narrow hallway is dim and smells faintly of mold and smoke. Voices echo softly from below, and the walls themselves seem to hum with the history of countless lives. Pressed close in this towering insula, the crowded apartment block where thousands of Romans live. The stairs creak beneath your feet as you descend to the street. Imagine the feel of rough stone underfoot, dusty and worn smooth by generations of footsteps. The street is narrow, flanked by tall buildings whose windows and balconies crowd together, almost blocking out the sky. Sunlight filters only in shafts through the gaps. Around you, the street is alive. You pass neighbors huddled around their small fires, the smoke curling upward lazily. Children dart between legs and carts, their laughter a bright thread weaving through the noise of the city. The smells press in on all sides: baking bread, fresh fish drying in the sun, the sharp temps of vinegar, and beneath it all, the less pleasant odors of refuse and stagnant water. Water from the city's aqueducts flows in open stone channels along the curbs, but these gutters are often clogged, slow-moving, and darkened with mud and debris. As you navigate the street, you can feel the slickness, underfoot dampness, mingled with dirt, discarded scraps, and the occasional splash of waste. The chatter of market sellers grows louder as you approach the open forum nearby. Here, merchants arrange piles of fruit and vegetables on wooden tables, the colors bright against the muted stone. Baskets overflow with olives, figs, and dried herbs. The scent of oil and spices mixes with the earthy smell of freshly cut wood. You pause near a bread stall. The loaves are simple, dense, and hard, baked in communal ovens with thick, cracked crusts that challenge your teeth. This is the bread of the plebeians, the working class, whose lives are spent in a daily struggle for sustenance. Imagine taking a small piece, feeling the rough crumb crumble softly as you bite into it. It lacks the lightness of the bread eaten by Rome's wealthy, but it is filling and familiar. The taste is plain, earthy, sometimes a little bitter from the coarse grain. You continue walking, hearing the faint clang of blacksmiths hammering metal, the shouted calls of street vendors selling fish, olives, or cheap wine. The cobblestones beneath your feet are uneven, the gaps filled with dirt and tiny weeds pushing their way up. As you navigate this busy world, you sense the constant hum of life, the conversations. It's the clatter of carts, the barking of dogs chasing rats along the alleyways. Rats are ever present here, thriving in the shadows and refuse, part of the city's ecosystem in this crowded, chaotic place. You stop briefly by the public latrines, large stone benches carved with holes arranged side by side. The air here is humid and thick, a mixture of water and the faintest scent of herbs thrown into the waste to mask odors. People gather here daily, sharing quiet conversations, news, and complaints about the heat or the latest grain shortage. You imagine the sounds and smells blending together, the soft rush of water, the scrape of feet on stone, low voices murmuring about the day's work, the emperor's latest decree, or the gossip about the gladiatorial games. Continuing on, you approach your workplace, perhaps a construction site near the forum, or a warehouse close to the docks. The work is hard, physical, and relentless. Stones are lifted, timber hauled, tools ground and sharpened. The sun beats down mercilessly, heating the stone and iron to a burning warmth. You feel the weight of a block of marble, rough and heavy in your hands, its edges sharp. Sweat beads on your brow and drips down your neck. Your breath is shallow but steady. The rhythm of labor pushing you onward despite fatigue. Around you, the sounds of the city rise and fall. The shouting of foremen, the ring of hammer on chisel, the shouts of street vendors calling for attention. Flies hover persistently, buzzing near open food stalls and garbage heaps. Your clothes, simple and worn, stick to your skin, damp with sweat. The coarse wool irritates your arms. Beneath your hair, the itch of lice persists, a small but constant discomfort you have long learned to ignore. You pause briefly, reaching for a cup of watered wine, cheap but refreshing, the sharp tang that cuts through the dust in your mouth. This is a small luxury, a brief moment of relief in a hard day. As the sun begins its slow descent, the city's pace changes. The noise softens, and the smells shift as evening fires are lit. You return to your insula, navigating crowded streets now filled with families returning home, children playing, and vendors closing their stalls. The insula rises tall and narrow, shadowing the street below. The air is cooler, but carries the scent of cooking fires, wood smoke, and the faint musk of packed bodies. You ascend the creaking stairs to your small room, the thin walls muffling the voices and footsteps below. Inside, you prepare a simple meal, perhaps a watery stew of beans and vegetables cooked slowly over a low flame. The aroma is faint but comforting, a reminder of small comforts amidst the daily struggle. You lie down once more on your straw mattress, the rough fabric brushing against your skin. Outside, the city settles into night, the distant sounds softening into a steady hum. Your thoughts drift to the wealthy villas of Rome's elite, with their marble floors, perfumed baths, and sprawling gardens. But here in the crowded insula, life moves to a different rhythm of endurance, routine, and quiet survival. As your breathing slows and your eyelids grow heavy, imagine the city around you softening in the night. The sharp edges of daily life blur, and the steady heartbeat of Rome carries you gently toward rest. As the night deepens, the sounds of the city fade into a distant whisper, gentle murmur carried on the warm breeze. You find yourself drifting between wakefulness and sleep, wrapped in the coarse blanket of your room. The shadows cast by flickering oil lamps dance faintly on the walls, echoing the restless spirit of Rome itself. Before sleep fully claims you, your mind wanders back to the morning, to the crowded streets and bustling markets. Imagine once again the feeling of the narrow alleys pressed tightly around you, the uneven cobblestones worn smooth beneath your sandals, and the subtle but ever-present scent of the city's many lives blending together the earth. The wood smoke and the faint musk of animals nearby. Life here is not quiet. The city pulses with energy, the heartbeat of a civilization that stretches across continents. But beneath the grandeur of marble temples and statues, there is a world that few notice, a world of constant motion and small struggles. Picture yourself at the communal fountains where Romans gather to collect water for their homes. These fountains are carved from stone, their surfaces worn smooth by countless hands. The water here is cool and clear, a precious resource drawn from the distant hills by the great aqueducts. You dip your cup into the basin, feeling the refreshing chill as you bring it to your lips. Nearby, women wash clothes in large basins, scrubbing fabric with care despite the rough texture of the linen and wool. Punctuated by quiet conversation and the occasional laughter of children playing nearby, you join the queue at the bakery once more, the smell of freshly baked bread mingling with the dust in the air. Today, you might be lucky to get a loaf still warm, its crust cracked and golden. The baker's hands move with practiced ease, kneading dough and stoking the fire beneath the oven. Yet, even the bread is not always reliable. Sometimes it is hard and dry, baked quickly to feed a hungry city. The grains used are often coarse, and you can taste the faint bitterness of impurities, reminders of the hardships faced by those who grow and harvest the food. As the sun rises higher, the city grows hotter. The stone buildings absorb the heat, radiating it back into the narrow streets. You wipe the sweat from your brow, feeling the rough fabric of your tunic cling to your skin. The air is thick and heavy, carrying the mixed smells of cooking fires, animal waste, and the faint hint of perfume from passing nobles. Your workday begins in earnest. Perhaps you are a laborer at the docks, hauling heavy sacks of grain from the ships that arrive from across the Mediterranean. The smell of salt water and fish mingles with the scent of wet rope and tar. Your hands are raw from gripping coarse fibers, your muscles tense and aching. The dockside is a noisy place, Seagulls cry overhead, merchants shout their prices, and sailors move quickly, preparing ships for their next journey. The constant motion requires your full attention, yet there is a rhythm to the chaos, a pattern in the steady exchange of goods and labor. Or perhaps you are a craftsman working in a cramped workshop, shaping metal or carving stone. The smell of heated metal and smoke fills the air, mingling with the dust of stone chips and wood shavings. Your hands move carefully but firmly, repeating motions practiced countless times before. Despite the weariness that tugs at your limbs, you take small pride in your work. The city depends on your labor. Its roads, buildings, and markets are built and maintained by hands like yours. Yet, the rewards are modest. Your wages barely cover food, rent, and the occasional small indulgence. During breaks, you seek out the public baths, a place where the poor and rich alike come to cleanse and relax. Though the conditions vary widely, the baths are large stone complexes filled with pools of varying temperatures, some warm and soothing, others cool and brisk. Here, you share space with others, the sounds of splashing water and quiet conversation filling the air. The scent of oils and herbs drifts faintly, offering a brief escape from the grime of the city. The smooth stone floors and marble columns gleam softly under the flickering lamps as evening approaches. Yet, even in these moments of respite, the reality of your life returns quickly. The bathhouse is crowded and privacy is scarce. You feel the gaze of others, the social divisions that separate the elite from the common folk. Still, it is a place where you can rest your weary muscles and feel, if only for a short while, a sense of community. Returning to your insula as dusk falls, the city shifts once more. The narrow streets fill with the smells of cooking fires, the chatter of families gathering for the evening meal, and the distant melodies of street musicians and poets. Inside your room, the fading light softens the hard edges of the day. You prepare a modest supper, perhaps lentils stewed with herbs, a small piece of salted fish, or a few olives. The food is simple but sustaining, a reminder of the earth and sea that sustain Rome. As you eat, you think of the crowded rooms and bustling streets, the endless cycle of work, rest, and survival. You imagine the countless lives woven into the fabric of the city with their own stories, struggles, and moments of quiet joy. The night grows deeper, and with it, a sense of calm descends. You lie once more on your straw mattress, the rough fabric cool against your skin. The city's pulse slows, and the distant sounds of night's soft footsteps. Whispered voices, the occasional bark of a dog fade into a gentle hush. Your thoughts drift toward the wider world, the grand temples, the forums filled with orators and senators, the villas of the wealthy high above the crowded streets. Yet here in this small room, in the heart of the city, life continues in its steady, enduring rhythm. As your breathing deepens and your eyelids grow heavy, imagine the city softening around Euthystone walls, the narrow alleys, the myriad lives intertwined beneath the Roman sky. The past and present merge in the quiet night, carrying you gently toward rest. Now, as your eyes begin to close and your body grows heavier with fatigue, picture the city settling into its nighttime rhythm. The once bustling streets grow quiet, except for the occasional footsteps of late wanderers or the distant calls of night watchmen patrolling the narrow alleys. The air cools, carrying the faint scent of damp stone and dried herbs hanging from window sills. You might hear the soft murmur of water flowing through the city's intricate system of aqueducts and fountains, a gentle reminder of the life-giving veins that sustain Rome. In the shadowed corners of the insulae, families gather close, sharing whispered stories and quiet laughter beneath flickering oil lamps. The warmth of kinship softens the harshness of the day. Imagine the faint rustle of tunics and the low murmur of lullabies sung to restless children, their voices like soft echoes in the stone corridors. Yet despite these moments of comfort, the insulae remain fragile. You can almost feel the worn timbers creaking beneath your weight as the building breathes with the night. The walls are thin, offering little protection from the chill or the noise beyond. The smell of smoke from countless hearths mingles with the ever-present hint of earth and dust, grounding you in this ancient reality. Outside, the city's guards and slaves perform their nocturnal duties. The clang of metal rings out softly as gates are secured, locks clicked shut, and torches are extinguished one by one. You might sense the tension in the air, a quiet vigilance born from the city's ever-present threats, from fires, theft, or worse. Imagine yourself slipping deeper into the gentle embrace of sleep, your breath steady and slow, while the city hums softly around you. The ancient stones and worn streets cradle you in their long history, whispering tales of a world both distant and immediate. As you drift further into rest, reflect on the resilience required to live here, to wake each day and face the chaos, the grime, the noise, and the ceaseless demands of the city. It is a life of endurance, of small victories and quiet defeats, woven into the fabric of one of history's greatest civilizations. Soon the first light of dawn will soften the horizon, and the city will stir once again. But for now, you are held in the stillness of the night, wrapped in the gentle pulse of Rome's unending story. As dawn breaks once again, imagine the slow unfolding of a new day beneath the soft golden light spilling over terracotta rooftops and stone walls. The city breathes awake with a gradual rhythm, a quiet stir of movement, the distant crow of roosters, and the gentle rustling of leaves in the warm morning breeze.
Oh.
In your modest insula, the sounds of the city begin to rise anew. The clatter of wooden carts rolling over uneven stones, the murmur of vendors arranging their goods, and the faint clang of blacksmiths stoking their forges. You awaken on your straw mattress, still carrying the lingering chill from the night, wrapped in the coarse fabric of your tunic. The familiar smells fill your nostrils again, earth, dust mingled with smoke from nearby hearths, a faint trace of herbs hanging from windows, and the unmistakable aroma of early bread baking. The sensory tapestry of Rome's daily life enfolds you once more. Rising slowly, you prepare for the day's labor. Perhaps you step outside to the courtyard or shared stairwell of the insulae, greeting neighbors and catching fragments of conversation. News of grain shipments, whispers about city politics, or the latest gossip about a senator's scandal. The social fabric is woven tightly, despite the layers of hardship. As you make your way through the winding streets, the city-esque textures surround you, the smooth marble steps of the Forum contrasting with the rough-hewn stones beneath your feet, the vibrant colors of merchant stalls draped in fabrics from distant lands, and the lively chatter of tradespeople bartering and haggling. Even here, among the humble and the weary, there is life, color, and a rhythm all its own. Though the days are long and often grueling, there are moments of simple beauty. A cool splash from a public fountain, The warmth of the sun on your face, or the distant melody of a lyre played softly by a street musician. These quiet details provide a respite from the constant demands of survival as you settle back into your insula at evening, ready to close your eyes and rest. The cycle of the city's life pulses gently around you. The laughter of children, soft murmur of family meals, and the ever-present hum of countless stories unfolding just beyond your door. In these quiet moments, imagine the vastness of Rome's, the great empire stretched across the known world, yet contained in this small, worn room where daily life is lived in all its stark simplicity. As your breath deepens and your eyelids grow heavy, feel yourself sinking into the gentle lull of history's embrace. The ancient city fades softly into the background, carrying you toward rest, wrapped in the enduring rhythm of a world both distant and familiar. Let your mind drift for a moment to the marble heart of ancient Rome. It is the year 180 CE, the reign of Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor, has come to an end. Across the empire, stretching from misty Britannia to the sun-scorched sands of Egypt, soldiers, merchants, and senators alike are adjusting to a new reality. The boy who once walked behind his father's litter now wears the purple robe of the emperor. His name is Commodus. He is just 19 years old. You are no longer in the cramped insulae or dusty alleyways of the plebeians. Imagine instead the hushed corridors of the Palatine Hill. The walls are high and cool, dressed in polished stone. Long painted hallways lead to atriums filled with fountains, columns, and quiet servants. Outside, Rome roars and bustles, but here, time moves slowly, as if muffled by layers of silk and gold. The boy emperor awakens not to the clatter of carts or the barking of traders, but to the gentle rustle of linens and the careful whisper of slaves drawing aside thick curtains. Morning light slips through latticed windows, touching gilded surfaces and half-drawn mosaics of heroes and gods. Incense curls upward from clay holders, filling the chamber with the soft aroma of frankincense and myrrh. This is the beginning of Commodus's rule, and though his brow bears the laurel wreath, the shadow of his father's legacy lingers just behind his eyes. Marcus Aurelius was revered not merely as a conqueror, but as a stoic, a man who wrote of virtue in his journal, who spoke of duty, restraint, and the burdens of power. Commodus, however, does not write at night. He does not ponder the nature of death or the soul beneath candlelight. Instead, he dreams of games, of applause, of the arena. But for now, in these first soft months of his reign, there is quiet. Senators breathe a cautious sigh of relief. The empire's enemies have been subdued for now. The grain ships arrive on time. The people are fed. The waters of the Tiber continue to flow past old stone bridges as they have for centuries. In Commodus, he smiles. He accepts praise with ease. He walks among the colonnades, barefoot and carefree, tossing figs to pet monkeys and speaking little of policy. The imperial court murmurs with nervous amusement. A boy, they say, just a boy. Perhaps he will grow into the purple. Perhaps in time, the weight of the empire will steady him. But beneath the polished floors and smooth routines, unease begins to ripple. He trusts too icily, then not at all. He laughs one day, scolds the next. He begins to rely on favorites, men who flatter him in low voices, who tell him what he wants to hear. He dismisses his father's advisors. Some are quietly retired. Others, more vocal, are sent to distant provinces under the guise of promotion. In public, he appears as a god among men, tall, broad-shouldered, wrapped in ivory robes. He throws coins into the crowds, attends games, smiles for statues. But in the private stillness of his villa, he spends more time staring into polished bronze mirrors. He orders new busts of himself to be made, not as a traditional emperor, but as Hercules, the demigod, club in hand, lion skin over his shoulders. You walk silently through the peristyle garden as night descends. The leaves of the olive trees rustle gently in the breeze. A servant lights another oil lamp, casting a soft amber glow over a marble statue of Commodus himself. His face is youthful, serene, but the eyes are wrong. Too wide, too watchful. This is no longer just a palace. It is slowly becoming a stage. And the boy who was once the prince has taken center spotlight. As the months pass and the years quietly turn, the balance of power within the Roman court begins to shift, almost imperceptibly at first. What had once been a vast administrative machine, fueled by senators, generals, and governors, now bends gently around the will of a single man and his whims. Commodus no longer walks freely through the forum. Instead, he appears only in grand processions. His entrances are choreographed. His robes are heavier, woven with golden thread. His head is adorned more often with a crown than a laurel. Even his name begins to change. Official inscriptions now proclaim him not only as emperor, but as the son of Jupiter, the reincarnation of Hercules, the victor of countless imaginary conquests. In the Senate, once the proud cornerstone of Roman governance, the atmosphere grows stifled. Speeches are shorter. Praise flows too easily. Senators no longer debate but flatter. To question the emperor's choices, even subtly, is to risk being branded disloyal, or worse, irrelevant. You might find yourself seated in the upper rows of the Curia Julia, the Senate House. It is mid-morning. Sunlight filters through the slats in the windows, painting long shadows on the marble floor. You watch the backs of men draped in togas, men whose families have ruled for generations. They sit stiffly, hands folded, eyes carefully forward. When Commodus enters, he does not walk. He is carried. And he smiles, always smiling. But his eyes search constantly, scanning the room for signs of disrespect. A raised brow, a twitch at the corner of a mouth. Even a whisper heard out of place may be remembered. He trusts only a few now: freedmen, gladiators, palace eunuchs, and his chamberlain. Clender, a man who rose from servitude to become the true power behind the curtain. Clender sells public offices to the highest bidder. Governorships, command positions, and even senatorial seats are exchanged for gold in quiet corners. The empire's bureaucracy bloats, grows inefficient, and begins to decay from within. Still, the people remain entertained, and that, Commodus believes, is enough. Games are scheduled more frequently. More beasts are imported. More criminals are condemned to die for sport. Commodus does not merely watch these performances. He begins to participate. He trains in secret at night, wielding wooden swords, sparring with carefully chosen opponents. In the early mornings, he walks to the practice fields beneath the Palatine Hill. He calls himself the Roman Hercules. He wears animal skins, oiling his body until it gleams in the torchlight. He invites select citizens to watch, to cheer, to marvel. Soon he demands a new kind of spectacle, himself in the arena. Not a symbolic appearance, not ceremonial, but real combat. Choreographed, of course, against weaker men or chained beasts, but real enough to frighten his advisors. Still few dare to object. To question the emperor's games is to question his divinity. Imagine sitting in the Flavian amphitheater, what we now call the Colosseum. The day is hot, the stone warm beneath you. The crowds murmur with a strange blend of anticipation and confusion. The emperor will fight today, they say. Truly fight. Some laugh, some shake their heads, some, especially those from the provinces, cheer wildly, and then he enters. Commodus, the emperor of Rome, striding into the sand as though born of it. His chest is bare. His sword glints in the sun. Raises one arm and the crowd erupts in cheer, though the sound feels more rehearsed than real. He slays easily. He strikes down a bound leopard, pierces a kneeling man who offers no resistance. The blood soaks the arena floor, not his but theirs. And when it is over, he throws his arms wide and demands tribute, not as Caesar, but as a god. Behind the scenes, the empire groans under his weight. His paranoia deepens. Food shortages begin to bite. Grain fleets go missing or are delayed, perhaps mismanaged, or perhaps sabotaged. Riots flicker at the edges of the city. Clender is blamed, then executed, a convenient scapegoat to preserve the emperor's image. In the palace, Commodus begins to surround himself with statues of himself in godlike poses. He rebrands Rome as Colonia Commodiana, the colony of Commodus. He renames the months of the year in his honor, commissions hundreds of likenesses, each more exaggerated than the last. With bulging muscles, heroic stances, and divine halos, you pass through the garden court late at night. The stone walkways cool beneath your feet. Wind rustles through cypress trees. Oil lamps flicker along the colonnade. The dim light Commodus's statues cast long, eerie shadows across the tiled floors. Dozens of versions of the same man, frozen in triumph. Staring down at the world that no longer recognizes itself, Rome is no longer the republic it once claimed to be. It is not even the empire Marcus Aurelius sought to guide with wisdom. It is now a stage, and the curtain never truly falls. Commodus, the gladiator emperor, has taken center stage, and he does not intend to leave. It is late in the year now. The air has cooled, and Rome prepares for the arrival of winter. The usual bustle of the forum continues. Traders shouting beneath canvas awnings, senators whispering beneath colonnades, soldiers marching in tight formations. But underneath the familiar rhythms, something quieter and more dangerous has begun to stir. Whispers travel faster than messages. People begin to murmur that the emperor is mad. Not mad in the sense of rage, though there is plenty of that, but mad in the quiet. It's an unnerving way of someone untethered from the world around him. He speaks now of omens seen in his dreams. He confides in statues, believes in messages encoded in bird flight. He issues decrees that seem strange at first, then deeply unsettling. All barbers, he declares, must be punished for whispering secrets through beards. He declares his enemies to be monsters in disguise, beasts who walk among men. He trusts fewer people than ever. Old companions are removed, some vanish. Others are found in the Tiber, their names struck from the records. Those who survive grow increasingly cautious. They bow more deeply. They speak less. They repeat his titles without question. In the imperial villa, life grows quieter, colder. Imagine yourself walking its halls by night. The stone is cold beneath your sandals. The torchlight flickers against painted frescoes, now chipped at the edges. You pass empty rooms where laughter once echoed. The courtyard fountain trickles gently, though the basin is stained with fallen leaves. A musician plays softly from behind a curtain, his melody echoing faintly in the vast atrium. In one room, Commodus sits alone, tracing a finger around the rim of a golden goblet. He is no longer young, not truly. His once bright eyes now look tired, watchful. He wears a lion's skin, but the beast's teeth no longer seem ferocious. They seem ceremonial, theatrical, out of place. There are rumors that he speaks to the gods aloud now, that he offers sacrifices in secret, not at temples, but within his private chambers. Offerings of incense, of coin, perhaps of blood. What had once been idiosyncratic is now dangerous. His gladiator performances continue, but now he demands applause before entering the arena. He is renamed months after his own titles: Lucius, Aelius, Aurelius, Commodus. The calendar is a monument to ego. And still, the empire bends under the strain. Provincial governors complain that funds have dried up. Military legions stretched across distant borders grumble that supplies are delayed or stolen. Rebellions flicker in distant regions, then are stamped out harshly, quietly. Commodus rarely attends to these matters himself. Instead, he delegates, and those who fail him are dealt with quickly, often permanently. By now, even his inner circle begins to fray. You may recall Marcia, once his concubine, now among the few who dare speak frankly to him. There is also the Praetorian prefect Letus, a powerful commander in charge of the imperial guard, and the chamberlain Eclectus, quiet and careful. These three are closer to the emperor than anyone else, and all three are afraid. Commodus's moods swing like the gladiator's sword he now carries almost constantly. One moment he is laughing, toying with a servant, tossing fruit at a pet bird. The next, he is shouting at a senator, declaring him a traitor for a look, a silence, an imagined insult. One night, as winter settles over Rome, he calls his inner circle together. His voice is steady but cold. He declares that the next day, the very next day, he will appear before the people not as emperor, but as a gladiator, not just in sport, but in rule. He will cast aside the purple robe. He will wear armor and helm. Rome will be governed not by the Senate, nor by tradition, but by the arena. He is no longer Caesar, he says. He is Hercules reborn. Rome is his amphitheater. The silence in the chamber that night is deep, deeper than stone. Marcia says nothing. Letus lowers his eyes. Clectus swallows hard. They do not sleep that night. There are no meetings the next morning. No commands issued. The city awakens as usual. Carts clattering, birds calling above tiled rooftops, the scent of baking bread rising from the suburra. But something in the air feels tight, uncertain. In the palace, a quiet pact is forming. 3 names, 3 conspirators, not born of ambition, but of desperation. And so we come to the final night, December 31st, in the year 192. Rome is quiet beneath a moonless sky. Torches flicker in doorways, casting soft pools of golden light onto the streets. In the alleyways, beggars huddle for warmth. In the taverns, laughter and song drift through the doors. And in the palace, deep within its corridors of marble and shadow, the emperor dines alone. Not far away, Marcia stands before a small wooden chest, her hands shaking only slightly. Inside, wrapped in soft cloth, is a vial of poison. Subtle, effective, and long prepared. Lettuce and Eclectus wait in another room, listening for any sound that would signal a change of heart. But there is no turning back. Earlier that day, Commodus had presented a list, a short scroll, freshly inked. On it, names Marcia Latus, Eclectus, all to be executed at dawn. It was only by chance that Marcia had seen the scroll, handed to her by a curious servant boy who asked what the emperor meant by the word traitor. Now, as the emperor finishes his final course, Marcia enters the room. She pours him wine, as she always does. Her voice is calm, her smile soft, makes a gentle joke about the color of his tunic. He laughs. He drinks. And then slowly the laughter fades. He coughs once, then again. He stands, confused, stumbling. The poison works quickly but not fully. He does not die. Panicked, Marcia calls for Narcissus, a young athlete and wrestling partner of the emperor's. Narcissus enters, called not as servant, but executioner. And there, in the quiet gloom of the imperial bath, Commodus dies. Not on a battlefield, not in a grand arena, but strangled in a steam-filled chamber, surrounded by silence. It is the end of a reign both theatrical and terrifying. News spreads by morning. There is no grand funeral, no public mourning. The Senate, once silenced by fear, erupts into applause. Statues are torn down, coins melted. The months are renamed once more. The empire breathes again, uncertain but relieved. Commodus's name is condemned by decree, damnatio memoria, erased from monuments, stripped from inscriptions. It is as though he had never ruled. But history does not forget so easily. You stand now at the edge of the Palatine Hill. The morning sun casts a soft glow across the rooftops of Rome. Birds wheel in the distance. The wind carries the scent of pine and dust. Below, the city stirs. Cautiously, curiously, there are no more gladiator emperors. Not yet. The foundations of Rome, once unshakable, have shifted. And somewhere beneath the cobbled streets, beneath layers of time and silence, the echoes of Commodus's voice remain, still boasting, still laughing, still claiming that he was Hercules reborn. But in the end, it was the quiet ones who prevailed. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine yourself walking through the back alleys of ancient Rome. It is evening. The sun has dipped low behind the tiled rooftops, and the warm tones of the city are slowly surrendering to twilight. The air carries the faint scent of cooking oil, pressed olives, wood smoke, and something slightly metallic. The lingering trace of bronze and damp stone. You pass by the outer walls of a bathhouse, its steam gently curling through small, slatted vents. Farther on, a bakery closes its shutters for the night. But just beyond the ordinary, beneath a quiet tavern or hidden beneath a private home, there is another Rome, a darker, more secretive one. You descend. Carefully, your feet find the first step of a narrow staircase carved from stone. The walls close in as you move downward, lit only by flickering oil lamps cradled in shallow alcoves. The sounds of the city fade above. What replaces them is the soft hush of earth and the gentle crackle of flame. At the base of the stair, a doorway opens into something unlike anything you've seen. Mithraeum, long and narrow, shaped like a cave, even when built beneath bustling cities. Along the sides of the chamber lie stone benches, not for lounging, but for gathering, for initiation, for ritual. At the far end of the room is a carved relief, or sometimes a painted fresco. Always the same scene. A young man, Mithras, wearing a Persian cap and flowing tunic, is shown slaying a bull. The animal is calm, oddly passive, as Mithras drives a dagger into its shoulder. From the wound, grain springs forth. A dog and a snake drink the blood. A scorpion claws at the bull's genitals. The symbolism is dense, mysterious, and deeply sacred to those who gathered here. Little is written about Mithras by his followers. The cult left few records. Instead, what we know comes from the scattered ruins of these underground chambers found beneath Rome, London, Ostia, and cities scattered across the empire. Some are remarkably well preserved. Others lie in pieces, broken by time or conquest. But in each one, the mystery lingers. The cult of Mithras was not for everyone. It was lonely, secretive, and layered in ritual. Initiates progressed through 7 grades, each one associated with a planet, a virtue, and a cosmic force. They were known as ravens, bridesmen, soldiers, lions, Persians, sunrunners, and finally, fathers. What did they believe? That question invites more whispers than answers. But scholars have pieced together fragments. Mithras, it seems, was born from a rock, a god of light and contract, battling darkness in a universe defined by celestial struggle. His slaying of the bull was a mythic act, not of cruelty, but of cosmic necessity. From the bull's death came life. From sacrifice, creation, it was a faith of personal discipline, brotherhood, and transformation. Those who joined the cult sought more than answers. They sought belonging and rebirth. Imagine a ceremony. You sit in the Mithraeum, robed in quiet. The air is cool and still, save for the steady drip of water from a stone crevice nearby. A priest, cloaked and calm, speaks in low tones. Words no outsider would understand. Candles are passed hand to hand. A small meal is shared, bread and wine, or perhaps meat and honeyed drink. Incense rises, curling upward toward the low vaulted ceiling. A gong sounds. You are led forward, blindfolded. What comes next is not known. But when you return, your place in the brotherhood has changed. You have ascended. The Mithraic mysteries were especially popular with soldiers. Across the empire, in forts and along borders, Mithraea were built beneath barracks, places of refuge and ritual for men far from home, bound together by a god older than Rome itself. In the loneliness of campaign life, Mithras offered something durable, something eternal, a brotherhood not of blood, but of shared silence. The cult was tolerated, even admired for a time. It did not compete openly with the empire's official gods. It asked for loyalty, not revolution. Its rituals, though private, did not threaten the social order, at least not at first. But the world was changing. Above these hidden chambers, another faith, young, persistent, and unyielding, was beginning to rise. As you remain in the dim light of the Mithraeum, imagine the gentle flicker of oil lamps casting elongated shadows on the rough stone walls. The air is cool, a faint scent of incense still lingering sweet, slightly resinous, curling around the quiet murmurs of prayer spoken long ago. The mysteries of Mithras were woven with symbolism layered and complex, designed to guide the initiate gently deeper into understanding without revealing all at once. The central image, the tauroctony or the bull slaying, was a cosmic tableau. It represented the eternal cycle of death and rebirth. The bull was no mere beast, but a symbol of life and fertility. Sacrifice was not destruction, but transformation. The spilling of its life force nourished the earth and heavens alike. The dog and snake, present at the scene, embodied both protection and renewal, creatures bound to the cycles of nature. Loyal companions to the divine drama unfolding in the darkened chamber. Beyond this central image, the 7 grades of initiation invited a gradual unfolding. Each grade brought new responsibilities, new knowledge, new mysteries. Imagine yourself slowly ascending these ranks, from the humble raven to the revered father. Each step was marked by ceremonies designed to evoke reflection, humility, and a sense of connection to the cosmos. The grades were also associated with planets Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, each one imbuing the initiate with qualities, eloquence, love, courage, justice, endurance. The journey was not just spiritual, but personal, encouraging members to embody virtues that would steady them against the uncertainties of a harsh world. In this quiet brotherhood, trust was paramount. Men far from home, soldiers stationed on distant frontiers, found solace here. Away from the clamor of the empire and the ever-watchful eyes of authority, the Mithraeum was a refugious sanctuary of calm, ritual, and silent understanding. Yet, as centuries passed, a new presence began to grow in the empire's spiritual landscape. Christianity, still a fledgling movement, began to spread quietly among the cities and villages. Its message of compassion, salvation, and a single God reached ears that Mithras's mystery cult could not easily touch. The two faiths shared some parallels: ritual meals, promises of eternal life, moral codes, but they were fundamentally different. Christianity was public and universal. Mithraism was secret and selective. This difference would prove pivotal. Imagine now the soft clatter of sandals in a Christian gathering place, the home of a believer, where scriptures are read aloud, voices rising in gentle hymns. Meanwhile, beneath the city, the Mithraeum remains dark, accessible only by those who know the secret steps. Over time, imperial favor shifted. Emperors who once tolerated or even practiced Mithraism began to embrace Christianity. Laws were passed, temples repurposed, Mithraea sealed. The cult did not vanish overnight, but its presence receded into the shadows, leaving only stone chambers and faint traces in art and myth. As you breathe in the quiet of this ancient mystery, consider how faith can be both personal sanctuary and social force. How secret rites beneath the earth contrast with the open cathedrals rising above. And how, even in the silence, history's layers remain waiting, whispering, inviting us to listen. Imagine now, centuries after the last flicker of oil lamps in the Mithraeum, the earth above those secret chambers shifting quietly. Layers of soil, ash, and rubble settle over the hidden sanctuaries as Rome grows and changes. The city's bustling streets pulse with life. Markets, carts, voices, unaware of what lies just beneath their feet. Then, in a moment far removed from those ancient rituals, workmen digging foundations for a new building pause. Their picks strike stone. Curiosity awakens. Archaeologists are called. They descend, carefully brushing away centuries of dust and debris. The air is cool and stale. The walls of the Mithraeum emerge from darkness, the carved reliefs slowly revealed by careful light. Stone benches, altars, and niches come into view. The Torochtonethris slaying the bull stands carved in high relief, shadowed and serene. Each find is a whisper from the past. Among the discoveries are small objects, bronze rings engraved with symbols, lamps shaped like animals, cups decorated with stars and planets, a lead seal bearing a secret symbol, fragments of frescoes depicting rituals and sacred ceremonies. These artifacts speak of a world both familiar and distant, of men seeking connection in a vast empire, of faith practiced in silence, in brotherhood, beneath the roar of a city that would not stop. One remarkable Mithraeum lies beneath the streets of modern London. Discovered in the 1950s during construction work, this chamber is carefully preserved behind glass in a museum. Visitors today can walk along a path above the ancient sanctuary, peering down at the stone altar and frescoes dimly illuminated by soft lights. Imagine yourself there, standing silently above this space, feeling the cool stone and quiet reverence that has lasted millennia. The city hums around you, but below, the mystery remains undisturbed. Archaeology offers a fragile bridge to the past, piecing together stories from fragments and opening windows into lives long silent. In the Mithraeum, those windows reveal not just a religion, but a refuge, a place where men found order in chaos, and meaning in the vastness of the cosmos. As the sun sets outside these hidden temples, and the world carries on unaware, you drift deeper into the soft shadows of history, a journey not just of facts, but of wonder and quiet discovery. As you rise from the quiet depths of the Mithraeum, imagine stepping back into the vibrant light of ancient Rome above. Children chasing through the narrow streets, the scent of fresh bread mingling with that of roasting meat and blooming flowers. The sunlight glints off marble statues and tiled roofs, while fountains spill cool water into busy piazzas. Here in the heart of Rome, public religion is a spectacle. Temples dedicated to Jupiter, Venus, and Mars stand proudly, their columns soaring and their altars busy with offerings. Priests in flowing robes lead elaborate ceremonies filled with incense and music, visible to all who pass by. The lives of Rome's elite are marked by grandeur. Wealthy patricians entertain guests in sprawling villas, decorated with vibrant frescoes and mosaic floors. Gardens bloom with roses and laurels, and the gentle sound of fountains creates a calm retreat from the city's heat and noise. Imagine yourself reclining on a cushioned couch, sipping spiced wine as poets recite verses praising Rome's glory and the gods' favor. The servants move quietly, bringing platters of figs, olives, and honeyed cakes. Perfumed oil lightly scents the air, mingling with the faint aroma of cedar wood and burning laurel leaves. In this world, religion is public and performative, a way to display status, power, and devotion all at once. But beneath this opulence, there is a different rhythm, quieter and more private, practiced by those like the Mithraic initiates. Their faith, hidden in underground chambers, speaks to the personal, the secret, and the inward journey. This contrast between the open and the hidden reflects the many layers of Roman society. The elite sought to impress and influence, while others sought solace and meaning in small concealed spaces. As the day fades into evening and the city settles into a softer glow. The interplay of light and shadow mirrors this spiritual duality. The public and the private, the grand and the secret, the known and the mysterious, all woven together into the fabric of ancient Rome. As you allow your mind to drift gently through these images, feel the steady pulse of history beneath your thoughts, a rhythm calm and enduring, inviting you deeper into rest. Imagine waking slowly in a spacious chamber of a Roman villa, far from the crowded insulae where the city's plebeians struggle with noise, grime, and chaos. The air here is still and fragrant, the subtle scent of blooming oleander, mingling with the faint aroma of polished wood and fresh linen. You lie on a low wooden bed draped with soft woolen blankets, dyed in muted earth tones. The morning light filters gently through a small window, casting patterned shadows on the frescoed walls. These paintings tell stories of gods, heroes, and pastoral scenes, invitation to tranquility. Outside, the villa's gardens stretch wide, lush with carefully tended herbs, flowering shrubs and fruit trees heavy with ripening figs and pomegranates. The faint sound of water trickling from a stone fountain creates a calming rhythm, a natural soundtrack to the start of the day. Your morning begins not with urgency, but with ritual. A servant brings water in a polished bronze basin, cool and clear, to wash your hands and face. The feel of the smooth metal and the gentle splash of water awaken your senses, soothing and refreshing. A light breakfast follows. Soft bread baked just this morning, olives cured in fragrant brine, and a small cup of diluted wine, pale and delicate on the tongue. Each bite is savored, the flavors simple yet satisfying, grounding you in the calm luxury of this privileged life. Dressing is a deliberate act. Your toga is a flowing garment of fine wool, its folds arranged with practiced care. The soft weight of the fabric rests lightly against your skin, the color a muted white with a purple stripe, a symbol of your status and citizenship. As you prepare for the day, the villa comes alive quietly. Slaves and servants move about with gentle efficiency, tending the hearth, lighting oil lamps, and arranging cushions in the atrium where guests may soon arrive. The rhythm here is unhurried, steeped in order and grace. Time is measured not by urgency, but by ceremony, the slow unfolding of daily life marked by tradition and calm refinement. Each moment deliberate and soft, a stark contrast to the harshness just beyond the villa's walls. As the sun climbs higher in the sky, the villa's tranquil morning slowly gives way to the soft buzz of activity. The rhythm remains calm, measured, and deliberate, inviting you to imagine the pace of life in this serene refuge from the city's noise and dust. Around midday, the atrium and triclinium, the formal dining room, are prepared for the day's main meal, the cena. This is not a hurried affair, but a carefully orchestrated event. Tables are laid with polished silver platters and delicate ceramic bowls, each filled with simple yet refined foods. Fresh fruits like figs and grapes, salted fish, soft cheeses, and small breads, fragrant with herbs. The centerpiece might be a roasted bird or a savory stew, rich with garum, the fermented fish sauce that adds a distinctive temmz, subtle yet pervasive. As you recline on cushioned couches, leaning comfortably on your left elbow as was custom, you might listen to the gentle strains of a lyre or the soft murmur of poetry recited by a guest or slave trained in the arts. The words flow slowly, each line unfolding like a quiet stream, evoking pastoral scenes or heroic tales, stories that soothe the mind even as they entertain. Between bites and sips of diluted wine, conversation drifts lightly, touching on philosophy, politics, or recent events, always in measured tones, never rising to a shout or heated debate. Following the meal, the afternoon offers a time for relaxation and refreshment. Imagine walking slowly through the garden, the sun warming your skin, but softened by dappled shade from olive trees and tall cypresses. The air is fragrant with jasmine and rosemary while bees hum lazily among the blossoms. Nearby, a small pool of cool water invites a refreshing dip, a place to wash away the heat and linger in quiet reflection. Baths were an essential part of Roman life, but in the villa, they take on a more intimate and private character. The marble basin, warmed by gentle fires beneath, offers soothing warmth, while the scent of scented oils and perfumes lingers softly on your skin. The afternoon might also include time spent with scrolls or tablets, reading or dictating letters to distant friends or business contacts. Education and culture were highly prized, and the villa's library would contain works by poets, historians, and philosophers, treasures to be savored in the calm of your private study. As the day unfolds, a peaceful harmony settles over the villa, a balance of indulgence and restraint, of leisure and subtle purpose. Imagine yourself immersed in this gentle routine, where every moment flows slowly, each breath a quiet invitation to rest. As daylight fades gently into the soft glow of evening, the villa transforms once again. The fading sun casts long golden shadows across the marble floors, and oil lamps are lit, their flickering flames casting a warm, soothing light that dances gently along the frescoed walls. Imagine yourself settling into the triclinum once more, where cushions and low couches await your arrival. The air carries the faint scent of incense, frankincense, and myrrh, woven softly with the lingering aroma of roasting herbs and the faint sweetness of wine. This time of day is marked by entertainment designed not to excite but to soothe. Musicians pluck strings on the lyre, their notes slow and melodious, weaving a delicate soundtrack to the evening. Poets recite verses with measured cadence, their words carefully chosen to evoke calm, pastoral scenes or meditations on nature and time. Conversation flows like a gentle river, voices low and relaxed. Topics might include philosophy, the nature of virtue, or the changing season's thoughts that invite contemplation rather than debate. The rhythm of speech matches the flickering lights, creating a space for quiet connection and rest. As the evening progresses, some guests might withdraw to private chambers or the open-air peristyle garden, where the night air is cool and filled with the subtle sounds of rustling leaves and distant water features. Here, under a canopy of stars, gentle walks and soft whispers offer a final moment of peace before night fully descends. For others, the evening closes with a quiet rituala, last cup of spiced wine or a small plate of dried fruits and nuts, comforting and simple, a gentle preparation for rest. Throughout these hours, the villa exudes a sense of calm, a refuge from the day's demands and the city's clamor. Time seems to slow, folding in on itself like the soft folds of a well-worn toga. Imagine yourself breathing slowly, sinking deeper into this tranquility. The world outside fading further away, replaced by the steady heartbeat of history's quiet moments. As night fully embraces the villa, the world outside grows quiet and distant. The torches are lowered, the lamps dimmed, and a profound stillness settles over the gardens and halls alike. The soft rustle of leaves and the faint ripple of a nearby fountain become the gentle lullabies of the evening. Imagine yourself lying back on a softly cushioned couch or returning to your chamber. The cool night air slipping through open windows scented faintly with lavender and rosemary. The vast sky above, dotted with stars, stretches endlessly, a quiet reminder of the vastness beyond human affairs. In these final moments before sleep, reflect on the delicate balance of life in ancient Rome. A supper classed the luxury and leisure wrapped in careful rituals and calm order. Contrast this with the distant memory of the plebeian streets, where noise, labor, and hardship wove a very different pattern. Yet despite these differences, all share the same human rhythms. The rising and setting of the sun, the steady pulse of breath and heartbeat, the quiet need for rest. The Villa serene calm offers a peaceful close to our journey. Through the layers of Rome, from crowded insulae to the hidden Mithraeum, from imperial intrigues to private gardens, each facet, each voice, each silent corner reveals something timeless about humanity's search for meaning, comfort, and connection. As you drift toward sleep, carry with you this gentle understanding that in every era, beneath the surface of history's grand narratives, lie the small, quiet moments that soothe the soul. Good night. As we come to the end of our quiet journey through ancient Rome, take a moment to let your mind settle softly on all that you have heard and imagined. The bustling streets of the plebeians, filled with their struggles and resilience. The final days of Emperor Commodus, with his complex and troubled spirit. The secretive ceremonies of the Mithraeum cult whispered beneath the city's feet. And the tranquil luxury of the Roman villa, a world apart, yet part of the same vast tapestry. Imagine the slow turning of the earth beneath the marble and stone, the gentle shifting of time like a calm river, carrying us forward while holding these moments safely within its flow. Though the past may seem distant, it shares with us the rhythms of daily life, the rising sun, the evening's hush, the deep need for rest and renewal. Allow these thoughts to drift softly through your mind like the fading light of dusk, quiet and steady. Let the cares of today slip away, replaced by the serene pulse of history's gentle heartbeat. And as your eyes close, may the calm of ancient Rome's many faces lull you into peaceful sleep. Resting in the knowledge that the stories of those who came before continue to whisper softly through the ages. Good night, and may your dreams be filled with quiet wonder.